everyone. This is the cluster API provider for vSphere office hours. This is a CNCF project, so please follow the CNCF guidelines during the meeting. What it means is that we be kind to one another and please use the raise hand feature if you want to talk. Um, I'm gonna share the doc in the chat. So if you guys have anything to add to the agenda, please go ahead and do so. That's the agenda doc. Um, it Yeah, so let's start off with the agenda. I guess Sagar, you can go ahead and introduce Tushar.
Oh, yeah. So just nice to see you, Tushar. Why don't you take a minute or two to introduce yourself? I might not do justice, so please go ahead.
Hello everyone. I'm Tushar. I'm currently a sophomore in India. I'm majoring in computer science. For the next 3 months, I'm going to be a mentee with CAPV under the LFX program, and I'm really glad to be here. And I've been having fun learning and contributing now to the program. Yeah. Thank you. Look out for my PRs and please, I'll really appreciate any review. And Sagar just dropped one today, and that was really appreciated. Thanks.
Welcome, Tushar. Hope you have a good time, and hope like this experience is good, interactive, and like full of learnings for you as well as for us. This is the first time, at least in my opinion, that we have had Betty join us. So definitely looking forward to learning more of this process too. Great. That was me. That's all I had. Right.
Cool. So I see that some topics of discussion are being added. That's great. Um, so the first one is by Geetika. Geetika, do you want to talk about the GPU proposal?
Yes. I just wanted to, mostly tell you about that. The GPU proposal, I think, almost complete, and I sincerely appreciate Sagar your effort here because you have been very even on toes with it, and I really appreciate you here, you and Yasin both. I just wanted to understand, Sagar, from your end. Is there something? So can we close it today, or maybe because since you're going on PTO from next week, I suppose. Just wanted to understand.
Sure thing. So I think I did like a final pass a couple of hours back on the proposal. I think like it was missing a couple of things. I think once those get resolved, I feel that the proposal seems to be in a good shape and should be ready for merge. So like once you happen to like make the changes, I will keep an eye out or I'll keep my notifications on so that I know when like changes are pushed onto that proposal, and then I can re-review it and hopefully we can close it. I know you've been patient enough for maybe almost 6 months now with the proposal, so hoping to get this pushed soon enough. Yeah, and maybe like also feel free to like post a link to the proposal in the Slack channel, asking for like any final reviews from another set of eyes. That would really be helpful and maybe could uncover the things that I might have missed during my reviews.
Just for heads up, I did all the changes already just half an hour ago. And which channel, the cluster API or on the CAPV channel?
I think let's stick to the CAPV channel since this proposal is a part of the repo. Yep.
I do so. Yeah, thanks a lot.
And yeah, just calling out to everyone. Like I'm gonna add the link to the proposal here. Please feel free to take a look at it and add your thoughts and comments. Gitika has been doing some very fine work on this, and we would appreciate any last or final set of eyes before we merge this in.
Cool. LeBron, do you want to go next?
Yeah. Hello. This is Ron from TKG Networking. Just brought this up yesterday. Since we merged the CAPW code into the CAPV, inside the CAPW code, there are some labels. Used to be started with CAPW, and there are several components that depended on this label. And if we just replace this label, it will cause issues doing the upgrade because some of the components won't be able to recognize the new CAPV labels when the machine rolls out. While these components are only upgraded after the machine is rolled out. So during this process, when the machines are rolling out with new label, these components, it cannot recognize the CAPV label. For example, the cloud provider vSphere. So we need to have a proper deprecation process instead of just replacing this label. That's the general issue.
Yes, Agar.
We discussed this in the unified channel yesterday, and this is the final decision the final conclusion we reached about. But I think we just need the PM's input out, like the deprecation timeline. Like I assume we add both of the labels for 1 or 2 major releases, then we just add the CAPV labels in the end. Remove the CAPW label.
Yes, Sagar.
I can go ahead, right? Okay. Yeah. So thanks, LeBron, for bringing this to our notice. I think just to, I think you very well summarized the issue, but like just to add more color to it, as part of like integrating or integrating this or adding the supervisor types to the unified CAPV provider, which can be used against the vSphere 7 and 8 supervisor API to create virtual machines. We basically made this switch explicitly of like removing the CAPW prefixed labels, which are then used by the VM operator service to kind of list out the virtual machines created and directly replace the CAPW label with CAPV. And as LeBron explained, what would happen is when an upgrade is happening, the new machines will get created with the CAPV labels, whereas the CPI components will keep looking for the machines with the CAPW label. So this might cause a break, or this might cause like the cluster to be unavailable for some part of the upgrade. So the ideal way or the best way to do this would be to add both the labels for a couple of minor releases, and then explicitly call out the deprecation of that particular label starting in the next release. And after like a couple of releases, we could figure out a plan to deprecate and remove this particular label altogether. So I see that, yeah, LeBron, you already have this issue assigned to you. So I think once we figure out a good deprecation policy of like when do we want to deprecate this, I would appreciate you adding the policy to the issue, as well as like a one-liner comment in the code base as well, so that we can keep a track of this thing both in the code base as well as in the CAPV repo.
Let me contact Timmy then.
Sure. Yeah. By the way, so for folks who are not aware, like Timmy is the PM who works with us on the upstream CAPV issues. So like LeBron will reach out to Timmy Async and like figure out a better or a good deprecation policy and add it to the issues. Right. Thanks, LeBron.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. So I don't see any other topics of discussion here. So is there anything else anybody wants to talk about before we move on to the open issues and PRs? No? Okay, cool. So we could probably talk about the issues first. So we do have a lot of activity on our in CAPV over the last 2 weeks. So we could probably get started from the oldest created issues. We have a couple of issues added or created to add new tests, and I think most of them Tushar is helping us cover a lot of these test cases, which is great. So do you guys prefer I open each of these and we talk about all of these test cases, or would you rather look at some of the other non-test related issues? How do you want to go about this?
I was thinking we could go to the PRs and maybe discuss if something could be, if we have time. I don't know if it's the right format to follow. It would give everybody a little bit of insights of what's wrong and what can be, we can, keep a check on what we might be doing wrong when we code further.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Sagar?
Yeah, I was just about to say the same thing. Like the issues are pretty small enough and pretty descriptive enough. Maybe we could go through the PRs instead for these particular issues. And there were a couple of other issues. Maybe we could just talk about those. There was like if we could go back to the issues, there was one thing about like removing the deprecated object meta field, which I feel deserves a call out, although it does not affect us really. But yeah, if you want, I can talk about it. So the CAPV code base basically uses in one place for logging a particular error. It uses the cluster name from the object meta, which is like a core API type coming from Kubernetes. I think like this particular field has been deprecated, and like we had discussed, we had a small discussion around this during the CAPV office hours yesterday, and we found multiple instances of like this usage in the CAPV and the providers repo. So as part of like this particular issue, we are just making sure or going through our code base and making sure that we remove all of the all of the references to this particular deprecated item. I already have like a very tiny PR for this one, but just wanted to call it out since this particular PR removes like usage of a deprecated field. This one.
Okay, great. Thanks, Sagar. So let's look at, we spoke about this, so LeBron spoke about this, right? Add the legacy CAPW label to machine, so we did that. We do have one more issue which Geetika raised, which is about upgrading the Cobra and the Viper dependencies. So I guess this is pretty straightforward. Is there anything else we want to talk about this issue?
I just wanted to ask if this is okay. I do that because I usually sometimes I usually raise these issues looking at a cluster API where they are at. So if is it okay, or do we have a hard dependency upon these particular versions?
Yes, Sagar.
I think like in my opinion, as long as there is no like major breaking change that affects the way that we consume these particular libraries, I feel that it is good to like be on the latest or not the latest, but actually just like keep updating these dependencies to like stable versions. These usually come with like bug fixes, which might be indirectly fixing some of the issues we might be facing.
Okay. Thanks, Sagar and Geetika. Um, so I could probably talk about this issue. Um, so what we realized a couple days ago was when we were in the V1 alpha, when we were using the V1 alpha 3 version, the vSphere cluster identity used a finalizer called identity slash infrastructure. Um, but it looks like with the introduction of multi-tenancy, we had changed this finalizer to be vSphere cluster slash infrastructure. And Shreya, I see your message. We could talk about that in a bit. Sorry about that, I missed it. Yeah, so with V1 Beta 1, we obviously have a new finalizer. Now what happens is when we upgrade our V1 Alpha 3 clusters to V1 Beta 1, our code looks for a specific finalizer called vSphere slash. Obviously that's not going to exist in V1 Alpha 3 cluster, because of which the finalizers never get removed, and because of that we are not able to delete the older we are not able to delete these workload clusters. So to fix this, what we're going to do right now is I'm just going to add an additional clause which looks for this legacy identity slash infrastructure finalizer, and if it's found, we go ahead and we remove it. And also one more fix that we could potentially have is that when we are adding the owner references, we just check for the group and the kind and not really the API version, so that moving forward we don't really face any such issues again, because we notice that when this upgrade happens, the owner references do not get upgraded. So like in the newer upgraded clusters as well, we are seeing the old owner reference of V1 Alpha 3 vSphere cluster, right? So these are the two things we are going to do to fix this issue. Maybe in a day or two we should have a PR for this ready to go. Any questions regarding this? Okay. Cool. I see something in the chat. Geetika replied. Nice. Okay. Cool. So we have all of these are just there to improve our test coverage. So we have one for GoVMommy, we have Vim machine. One is more of a refactoring based issue where we just want to make sure that everything's in one place, nice and tidy. For metadata package, extra package, and Vim machine reconciliation. I guess it's better we just talk about it in a super brief fashion, since it's all about adding more coverage, which is great. Other than that, I think we discussed from here on in the last office hours, so I think we could skip that. Moving to the pull requests, open pull requests. The first one is what Sagar spoke about a while ago, removing the deprecated object meta field. The next one is raised by Tushar. I think it's already being okay, this is yet to be reviewed, right? So yeah, we'll pick this up. Thank you for raising this PR, Tushar. And thank you for adding this description. I think this is super helpful, because especially when it comes to reading tests, it gets a little difficult since it's all in your mind what you're doing, and this is very, very helpful. So thank you so much. Let's see what else. Yeah, so this is another one raised by Geetika. This is to add Cubescape to CAPV. Are the tests passing? I'm not really sure.
It's a work in progress.
Yeah,
It's okay. It's still, yeah, it's only, I realized today that it's only 30% complete and a lot of things have to be done here. And so to give you all a brief, Cubescape scanner is basically, it scans the cluster for securities and vulnerabilities. So it's easier for us to, verify that our clusters are secured. There was this was being added in all the other providers. So I thought it's a good, we should, CAPI also must have it. So this is regarding in reference to that issue.
Okay. Cool. So I guess like it's always good to have all of these security checks. At least that's what I think. We can come back to this PR later once it's not in a work in progress stage. Sorry, I didn't notice the WIP there. The next one once again is by Tushar, and I think this is the one which is under review, right? There's some back and forth over here, and Sagar did have one final comment. So I guess we could come back to this once these comments are addressed. Tushar, do you want to add anything else about this PR, or is there?
No, I saw the comment and figured out how to do it. I'll be updating it soon.
Sure, absolutely. We have one which is refactoring find VM. I believe
This one is still missing the test.
yeah.
Once, the tests are added. Take a look at this.
Okay, cool. So we could come back to this once Pratik adds a few more of these test cases. Yes, Geetika?
Yeah, I think if let's ping him once if he's not really because I think this was done, when people were trying to participate as a part of LFX program. But now if he doesn't really complete it, I'll pick the rest of it and complete it. Is that okay?
Sure. Yeah. Let's wait for a week or two at least for the original author to respond, and
Okay.
if like they do not, then we can go ahead and close this or just take this and push it to completion.
All
Cool. And I think we missed this. This is, I guess it's still a work in progress, and the author, she was facing a few issues with her test environment, and I think there's a good amount of conversation on Slack channels as well regarding that. So I think she's on top of this. So we could come back to this once this is not a work in progress anymore. Yeah, and we do have this one last one by Geetika. She's probably the right person to talk about this instead of me. So Geetika, do you want to talk about this?
Definitely. Thank you. So it's earlier we used to have a script called as fetch dot sh, something like that, and it used to populate all the environment variables that were like required for the integration testing, sorry, E2E testing. This was particularly so in controller runtime setup. There was a complete package that was used, which was exported. So this basically, what it removes the dependency of the that particular script we were writing, and use that package from the controller runtime. Apparently changes are okay, but my tests are failing on where the controllers are still trying to find out the cube builder directory, which should not have happened, and I'm trying to figure out because from the going into the code I could not find. I did spend some time today in the morning, but I could not find why was where was environments were being loaded from, and where. So I need some little more time. Maybe I'll spend a little more time on this one to figure out what exactly is going on. That's why it's earlier I thought it's a complete, I have completed it, but apparently there was an issue here. So most likely I would work on it next week.
Sounds good. Let's see. I think that's about it with the new PRs for over the last 15 days. Yes, Geetika.
I just wanted to talk about. So I had also written a unit test for identity package. So I just wanted to talk. If you could open it up, there was a comment that I wanted to discuss about it briefly.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. This this one?
The problem statement here is most when we are running all the tests in the identity test, there is a very fine line to identify which identity test ran, because there is one another identity test in the manager tests. So what happens is when all of these specs identity tests run, it simply says that 12 out of 12 of them finished off, and then but for the tests which are there in the manager, it basically logs the description of them. So when you're scrolling up along in the logs, it is very difficult to identify which test ran, which did not. So for that, I had actually added a print statement here. Apparently this is not a right way to do so. Today I have actually replaced it by klog, right? I don't know exactly if this is the right way, but I really want at least some description in the logs that these tests were ran properly, like, or something, some description of the tests. So just wanted to understand what is your point of view. I just wanted to have a brief discussion about it here.
Yes, Sagar.
I think I guess I I understand like the thing that you're trying to achieve, but like putting log statements to kind of explicitly print out what tests ran is not the right way to like report the tests that were ran. Like you can basically add some Ginkgo arguments which kind of like prints out like a list of tests that were run. And I think like the way that, if I'm not wrong, the way that Ginkgo runs tests is, I think only if there are any explicit log statements that are gathered or printed while running the tests, does it actually show you the name of the tests otherwise, or the name of the spec that was run. But otherwise it actually does not kind of print the name of each and every spec that was run as part of the suite. But like I said, again, there are multiple ways of like outputting the test, the specs that were run as part of a particular test run. Go ahead, Kritika.
Yeah, so I was just wondering, why is it that for some tests the description was present, and for the others it wasn't? I could not really identify why exactly is that happening.
Like I guess I touched upon this, but I think only if there are any particular log statements that are redirected onto the screen does it actually go ahead and output the name of the spec. If that's not the case, then it actually does not like output the name of the spec and just like writes the number of spec, or like just outputs the number of specs that were run as part of the suite. Yeah. I think like Shreya probably, I think Shreya is probably like talking about the same, where Ginkgo can report the spec for you. By the way, Shreya is there. Sorry, go ahead, Kritika. I did not mean to cut you off.
No, my hand is raised. Sorry, please go ahead. I was just trying to.
Yeah, so I think. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there.
We're talking about the Ginkgo, like Shreya was talking about. So I was just wondering why we are using Go test and not Ginkgo, calling the unit test via Ginkgo.
I think because all of the tests are not like run via Ginkgo. That's why, like, if we just run our unit tests via Ginkgo, then only the specs that are registered by the Ginkgo handler will get run, but all of the other native Go tests will not be run. So that's basically why we use Go test minus v ... to kind of run all of the tests.
I don't know if it's a stupid question or maybe a stupid suggestion here, but shouldn't we, use only one thing, like maybe register all the tests with Ginkgo, or do not run anything with Gingo or run all of them with Go tests? Why something like this?
Uh, I guess like Ginkgo just gives you a better way to like describe the specs, or like Ginkgo like does more of like behavior based testing, whereas like natively in Go you do not have any of those constructs without using any external library. I think there is another I think it's called test framework, which is being natively developed in the Kubernetes community, which kind of also gives us the same functionality. Uh, but like, yeah, I guess like even historically there hasn't been one way or the other that we have tried to write the tests. Although I know that there was an effort to kind of like move away from Ginkgo tests in the CAPI repo and like just use native Golang testing. I'm really not sure like if all of the Ginkgo tests have been removed from the CAPI repo, but I could definitely take a look. And I think Gitika, maybe if you want to, if you actually want a better solution around this, I would suggest like let's create an issue and like collate all of our thoughts on that issue, and then we can figure out a better way to report all of the specs that have been run, rather than like adding individual log statements for the specs.
Okay. All right, I'll do that. I'll add it as an action item.
Thanks.
Cool. I think that's about it with all the open issues and the open PRs. Is there anything else anybody wants to talk about? I know we're already past time by 4 minutes, so super quick reminder if anybody wants to talk about anything. Otherwise, we can meet once again in 2 weeks. Going once, twice. Awesome. Have a great rest of the week, everyone. Oh, only one more day, but have a great day. And see you guys very soon in 2 weeks. Bye, everyone.